survival value. Well, the experience of LSD was off the end of any scale that I'd been brought up with. I'd also been brought up by a Christian family and went to a Christian school, but it was off the end of any scale that I'd been brought up with in the religious area too. So it made me very interested in the nature of consciousness and what exactly is going on. And later, I worked in India in the 1970s, and of course in India there's been thousands of years of people exploring consciousness through yoga, through meditation, and the whole of Indian philosophy and religion is really based on a philosophy of consciousness and how consciousness works. So this, for me, was one reason I wanted to take a job in India, was because here was a culture where there was a much more serious discussion of the nature of consciousness, not just based on people talking in seminar rooms, but on sannyasins who'd spent years meditating in caves in the Himalayas. India's full of holy men dressed in orange robes and who meditate and pray and go on pilgrimages and so on. So when I finished my time in India, my first book was published in 1981 called A New Science of Life, in which I put forward the idea of morphic resonance, the idea of memory and nature. And in 1982, I went to California for the launch of the American edition in California. And when I was there, I entered a whole new world that I'd not known about before. I knew about the East Coast, I'd studied at Harvard, but California in the early 80s was a very exciting place to be. And one of the people I met on my first journey there was Terence McKenna. Some of you will be familiar with his work. He died, sadly and prematurely, in 2000, so 25 years ago. But Terence lives on beyond the grave through his talks on YouTube and on the internet. And he was a bardic figure who was a kind of prophet of the psychedelic movement.